Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome to Learn English with Joynob. Let me ask you something honestly. Do you still use verbs like get, make, do, and give in almost every conversation?
If you do, your English may be correct, but it doesn't sound advanced. One of the biggest C1 level mistakes is relying on basic verbs when native speakers choose precise, powerful ones.
Today, we're upgrading your English with smart verbs, the kind professionals, managers, and university speakers use naturally in serious conversations.
These verbs don't just change your sentence, they change how confident, educated, and sophisticated you sound.
If you're ready to challenge your English and move beyond basic speech, let's begin.
Let's sharpen your ear now. I'll give you the basic version first, then listen carefully to how the advanced version sounds instantly more intelligent and deliberate.
Basic, I got the information. Advanced, I obtained the information. Get is vague. Obtain shows effort and intention, perfect for reports and emails.
Basic, we made a decision. Advanced, we reached a decision or we finalized a decision. Reached suggests discussion and negotiation. Finalized suggests closure and authority.
Basic, I will do the task. Advanced, I will execute the task, or I will carry out the task. These verbs sound responsible and professional, not casual.
Basic, she gave a presentation. Advanced, she delivered a presentation. Native speakers almost always say deliver in formal contexts.
Basic, he helped the team. Advanced, he assisted the team, or he supported the team. Assist sounds more formal. Support sounds collaborative and leadership-focused.
Basic, they made a plan. Advanced, they developed a plan or they formulated a plan. Formulated is especially strong in academic or strategic settings.
Basic, the company made a change. Advanced, the company implemented a change. Implement shows controlled, organized action.
Basic, she got approval from the manager. Advanced, she secured approval from the manager. Secure suggests professionalism and success.
Basic, he did the research. Advanced, he conducted the research. This is a must-know upgrade for university students.
Basic, they gave an explanation. Advanced, they provided an explanation or they clarified the issue. Provide is neutral and formal. Clarify shows problem-solving skill.
Basic verbs tell what happened. Smart verbs tell how it happened, carefully, successfully, strategically, or professionally.
That's the difference between sounding like a learner and sounding like a professional.
Now, let's slow down and look at why these smart verbs change everything. The difference is not just formality, it's precision, intention, and cultural meaning.
Analytically, when you say, I got the information, the listener only knows that the information arrived. But when you say, I obtained the information, it suggests effort, process, and responsibility. It sounds deliberate.
The verb secure is even stronger than get. If you say, I secured the client's approval, it implies negotiation, difficulty, and success. That single verb carries a whole story of struggle and achievement.
The same happens with make versus develop or formulate. Make a plan sounds quick and casual. Develop a plan sounds strategic and organized. Formulate a plan sounds analytical and academic.
Insightfully, culturally, in English-speaking professional environments, these smart verbs signal competence. People don't just listen to what you did, they judge how you say you did it.
Measured authority. Do a task sounds like an instruction to a junior employee. Execute a task sounds like the language of a manager. Implement a task sounds like controlled, systematic action.
Gentle clarity. Basic verbs tell what happened. Smart verbs tell how it happened, carefully, successfully, strategically, or professionally. Quick confidence. And once you begin to feel these differences, not just memorize them, your English naturally starts to sound native and authoritative.
Now imagine this clearly. You're in a project meeting with senior managers and an international client on Zoom. The pressure is real. Every word matters.
A junior team member says, "We did the market analysis and made a new strategy last week."
An advanced speaker would say, "We conducted a comprehensive market analysis and developed a new strategy last week." Now it sounds structured, methodical, and professional.
The manager then turns to you and asks about client approval. Instead of saying, "I will get the client's approval by tomorrow," you say, "I will secure the client's approval by tomorrow." This sounds confident and shows responsibility.
And if the process is still ongoing, you might say, "We are currently seeking the client's approval." That tells everyone the process is active but not finished.
Later during the presentation, instead of saying, "She gave a detailed explanation of the budget," an advanced speaker says, "She provided a detailed explanation of the budget and clarified the cost breakdown." Now your sentence shows both action and precision.
When reporting progress, instead of "We made progress this week," you say, "We achieved significant progress this week," or even better, "We advanced the project timeline by 2 weeks."
And when discussing problems, instead of "We got a delay from the supplier," you say, "We encountered a delay from the supplier," or "We experienced an unexpected delay from the supplier."
Each smart verb adds clarity, formality, and credibility. The managers don't just understand your message, they trust your competence.
This is how verb choice quietly shapes your professional image in meetings, reports, emails, and presentations.
Now it's your turn. I'll give you the basic sentence, pause for 1 second, and upgrade it with a smart verb in your head.
First one, I got the job after the interview. Upgrade it. Yes, I secured the job after the interview. Now it sounds earned and professional.
Next, we made a new plan for the project. Think. Correct. We developed a new plan for the project.
Try this one. She did the research for her thesis. Upgraded version? Exactly. She conducted the research for her thesis.
Next challenge. They gave support to the customers. Advanced version? Perfect. They provided support to the customers.
Another one. The company got permission from the government. Upgrade it. Yes, the company obtained permission from the government.
Try this. He made a big change in the system. Better version? Right. He implemented a major change in the system.
Next, we did a meeting with the clients. Advanced English? Exactly. We conducted a meeting with the clients.
One more. She got a lot of skills during the training. Upgraded. Perfect. She acquired many skills during the training.
If you can upgrade these without stopping too long, you're already thinking like an advanced speaker. Now let's push this even deeper. Smart verbs are not only replacements for get, make, do, and give. They also control power, politeness, and intention in your sentence.
For example, look closely at these 3 verbs that often replace get: receive, obtain, and secure. They all seem similar, but to a native speaker, they live on completely different levels.
If you say, "I received the email," it's neutral. It simply describes what happened. No effort, no struggle.
But if you say, "I obtained the data," it suggests you took action. You requested it, searched for it, or followed a process.
And if you say, "I secured the contract," now the story changes completely. It implies competition, risk, pressure, and success. One verb, 3 different professional identities.
Native speakers feel these differences instantly. Advanced learners must train themselves to feel them too.
Now let's look at the verb make. It hides dozens of smarter verbs behind it. You don't just make a report. You draft a report when it's the first version. You compile a report when you collect data. You finalize a report when it's complete.
Each verb shows a different stage of work. That's why advanced English sounds so precise, because it describes the process, not just the result.
And look at do. You don't just do research, you conduct research. You don't just do an experiment, you carry out an experiment. You don't just do an investigation, you launch or initiate one.
Using the wrong verb doesn't make your sentence incorrect, but it quietly lowers your professional level.
There's another powerful area, how verbs control politeness. If you say, I want the report by Friday, it sounds direct, even a little aggressive.
But if you say, I would appreciate receiving the report by Friday, the request becomes polite, professional, and diplomatic just by changing the verb.
Same message, very different emotional impact.
This is why smart verbs are not only about sounding educated, they're about controlling tone, hierarchy, and relationship in conversation.
And this is what truly separates fluent speakers from advanced communicators. Fluency is about speed. Advanced communication is about choice. Now let's move into one of the most sensitive areas, emails and formal writing. This is where smart verb mistakes can quietly damage your professional image.
Many advanced learners write emails that are grammatically correct, but the verb choice makes them sound either too weak or too aggressive.
For example, compare these two sentences. I want an update by today. I would appreciate an update by today. Same request, completely different level of professionalism.
Want sounds personal and direct. Appreciate sounds respectful and corporate. Native speakers automatically choose the second one in professional settings.
Here's another common one. I need the file now. Upgraded version. I require the file at your earliest convenience. One sounds urgent and slightly forceful. The other sounds firm but professional.
And notice this pair. Please send the report versus please forward the report. Send is neutral. Forward shows you understand business email behavior.
Now look at a subtle but powerful upgrade. I checked the document. Advanced version. I reviewed the document. Review implies careful, professional examination.
Or this, I fixed the problem. Advanced version, I resolved the issue. Fix sounds technical or casual. Resolve sounds managerial.
Even talk becomes more precise in formal writing. I will talk to the client. I will contact the client. I will consult the client. Each verb reflects a different type of communication.
And this is where many professionals unintentionally sound junior, not because of grammar, but because of verb level.
When your email verbs sound precise, calm, and intentional, people read your message differently. They sense competence before they even think about your accent or background. That's why smart verbs are one of the most powerful silent tools in written English.
Now, let's talk about another hidden danger. Some verbs are technically correct, but they sound too strong, too commanding, or even rude in professional situations.
This is where many advanced learners get into trouble. They upgrade the verb, but upgrade it in the wrong emotional direction. For example, listen to this. I demand an explanation. Grammatically perfect, but socially very aggressive.
A professional version would be, I would appreciate an explanation, or I would like to request an explanation. Same request, completely different level of professionalism.
Another common mistake is using order in emails or meetings. I ordered him to complete the task. This sounds military, not corporate.
A balanced professional choice would be, I instructed him to complete the task, or I assigned him the task. Now it sounds managerial, not aggressive.
Even strong verbs like force can damage your tone. We forced the team to accept the change. This makes you sound authoritarian.
But if you say, we encouraged the team to accept the change, or we persuaded the team to accept the change, the message becomes collaborative and professional.
And look at this common one. I will control the project. It sounds dominating.
A smarter choice would be, I will oversee the project, or I will manage the project. Now you sound responsible, not overpowering.
Advanced English isn't only about strength, it's about controlled strength, knowing when to sound firm and when to sound diplomatic.
Native speakers constantly balance authority and politeness through verb choice. This balance is what makes their communication effective, not just impressive.
And once you start feeling this balance, your English becomes not only advanced, but socially intelligent. Now let's look at how smart verbs quietly change power dynamics in meetings and negotiations, often without anyone noticing.
In professional settings, it's rarely about what you say. It's about how much authority your verbs carry.
For instance, compare these two. I suggest we delay the launch. I recommend we delay the launch. Suggest sounds light and optional. Recommend sounds informed and credible.
And now listen to this. I think this strategy will work versus I am confident this strategy will work. One sounds uncertain, the other projects leadership.
Even small verbs change your position at the table. I hope the client agrees. Sounds passive. I expect the client will agree. Now you sound prepared and confident.
In negotiations, verbs also control pressure. I want a lower price. Direct, but weak. I require a lower price to proceed. Now there is clear leverage.
Or listen to this shift. We can try to meet the deadline. We will make every effort to meet the deadline. Same promise, very different level of commitment.
Even disagreement changes with the right verb. I disagree with your proposal. Direct, slightly confrontational. I question the feasibility of this proposal. Now the focus moves from the person to the idea.
That's how experienced professionals protect relationships while still holding their position by choosing verbs that shift power without increasing conflict.
In advanced English, verbs are not just actions. They are signals of confidence, caution, pressure, or cooperation, depending on how you choose them.
Now let's explore how smart verbs shape persuasion. Leaders rarely say, I want you to do this. They choose verbs that invite agreement rather than resistance.
For example, I want you to join this project versus I would encourage you to join this project. Encourage feels supportive, not commanding.
Or compare these. We must change the strategy. We propose changing the strategy. We recommend changing the strategy. Each verb applies a different level of pressure.
Must creates urgency and force. Propose invites discussion. Recommend suggests expertise and confidence. Advanced speakers choose depending on the room.
This is especially important when influencing senior people. I believe this approach will succeed. Sounds respectful. I am convinced this approach will succeed. Sounds stronger and more decisive.
Even decisions sound different with smart verbs. We made a decision is neutral. We approved the decision sounds official. We authorized the decision sounds high-level and powerful.
And when delays happen, leaders don't say, we can't do it now. They say, we have postponed the launch, or we have deferred the decision.
Postpone sounds practical. Defer sounds formal and strategic. Same action, different leadership tone.
This is how advanced speakers quietly manage perception, not with big speeches, but with precise verb choices. Now let's look at how smart verbs operate when things go wrong, during problems, pressure, and crisis situations.
In difficult moments, native speakers become even more careful with their verbs. The wrong verb can create panic. The right verb can create control.
For instance, compare these two. We have a problem with the system. We have encountered a problem with the system. Encountered sounds more professional and less emotional.
Or this, the supplier made a mistake. The supplier committed an error. One sounds casual, the other sounds official and report level.
Now listen to how leaders speak in a crisis. We will fix the issue versus we will resolve the issue. Resolve suggests a controlled, complete solution.
And look at this pair. The issue affected production. The issue disrupted production. Affect is neutral. Disrupt signals severity.
This is how advanced speakers control emotional temperature by choosing verbs that match the seriousness of the situation.
Now think about risk communication. This could cause delays. This could trigger delays. Trigger sounds immediate and serious, often used in reports and warnings.
Or instead of saying, we might lose clients, you say, we risk losing key clients. That single verb, risk, makes the sentence sound strategic and forward-thinking.
Leaders don't say, we don't know yet. They say, we are still assessing the situation, or we are evaluating the impact.
Assess and evaluate signal control, analysis, and professionalism, even when the outcome is uncertain.
In advanced English, crisis language is not emotional. It is measured, precise, and intentional, and verbs carry most of that control.
Now let's shift into another high-pressure zone: presentations, interviews, and public speaking. This is where smart verbs can quietly decide how confident you sound.
Many advanced learners lose impact here because they rely on weak verbs when they're nervous, and nervous verbs make you sound uncertain.
For example, compare, I will talk about our new strategy today, versus I will outline our new strategy today. Talk about is casual. Outline sounds structured and professional.
Or this, I want to show you our results. Upgraded, I would like to demonstrate our results. Demonstrate sounds confident and evidence-based.
In interviews, the same rule applies. I did an internship at a software company. Advanced version, I completed an internship at a software company. Now it sounds finished, serious, and credible.
Even your achievements change with verbs. I made a successful app becomes I developed a successful app. I launched a successful app. I led the development of a successful app. Each verb adds a different level of leadership.
And look at how confidence shifts here. I think I can handle this role, versus I am confident I can handle this role. One sounds hopeful, the other sounds ready.
In public speaking, verbs also control energy. This change will help the company. This change will strengthen the company. This change will transform the company. Same idea, 3 different levels of impact.
Advanced speakers don't just explain things on stage, they frame, position, demonstrate, justify, and reinforce their ideas through verbs.
And the audience may not notice why you sound confident, but they always feel it.
Now let's look at how smart verbs completely change storytelling and branding language. This is where English becomes emotional, visual, and persuasive.
In storytelling, weak verbs make stories feel flat. Strong verbs make listeners see the action. Compare these. He went into the room. He rushed into the room. He slipped into the room. Same movement, totally different story.
That's the power of smart verbs. They don't just tell what happened, they show how it happened.
Now think about branding and marketing. Companies don't say, we make products. They say, we design, craft, and engineer products. Each verb adds status and quality.
And in advertising, you rarely hear, our app will help you manage your time. Instead, you hear, our app will simplify, streamline, and optimize your workflow. Those verbs sell the feeling of efficiency and control.
Even customer promises change with verbs. We will give you better service becomes we guarantee, deliver, or ensure high-quality service. Now the brand sounds trustworthy and strong.
In storytelling interviews, notice the shift. I had a difficult childhood versus I overcame a difficult childhood. One describes a state, the other describes strength.
Or this, she made her own business. She built her own business. She established her own business. Each verb raises her image step by step.
This is why smart verbs are central to leadership branding. They shape how people remember your story, as passive or powerful.
And once you become aware of this, you'll start hearing smart verbs everywhere in ads, speeches, interviews, and success stories.
Now let's talk about something even deeper, how smart verbs quietly shape your confidence and personal identity in English.
Many learners don't realize this, but the verbs you choose not only describe actions, they also describe who you sound like as a person.
For example, listen to these two sentences. I tried to solve the problem. I addressed the problem. One sounds uncertain and tentative, the other sounds responsible and proactive.
Or compare, I got a new role in the company. I was appointed to a new role in the company. Got sounds accidental. Appointed sounds recognized and trusted.
Even the way you talk about failure changes your identity. I made a mistake. I acknowledged my mistake. I took responsibility for my mistake. Each verb moves you from passive to mature to professional.
Native speakers often sound confident not because they feel confident, but because their verbs frame their experience as confident.
Look at this emotional shift here. I felt nervous. I was anxious. I was on edge. As the verbs and expressions become more precise, the emotion becomes more real and controlled.
And when you talk about growth, compare, I learned a lot this year. I developed new skills this year. I refined my abilities this year. Each verb reflects a higher level of self-awareness.
Smart verbs allow you to present yourself not just as someone who experiences life, but as someone who navigates, manages, overcomes, and transforms experiences.
This is where language and identity meet. The verbs you choose quietly craft the story of who you are in English.
Now let's step into university-level English. Essays, research papers, and critical analysis. This is where smart verbs completely change how intelligent your writing sounds.
Many students use weak verbs like say, show, talk about, and write about. These verbs don't show thinking, they only show action.
For example, the author says that social media affects teens. Advanced version, the author argues that social media affects teens. Now it sounds analytical, not descriptive.
Or compare, the research shows a strong connection. Advanced, the research demonstrates a strong connection. Demonstrates implies evidence and proof.
Instead of, this study talks about climate change, an advanced writer says, this study examines climate change, or this study investigates climate change.
Each of these verbs signals a different depth of thinking. Talks about is general. Examines is focused. Investigates is systematic.
And look at how opinions change with smart verbs. I think this theory is correct. I believe this theory is correct. I maintain this theory is correct. I contend this theory is correct. Each step sounds stronger and more scholarly.
Even disagreement becomes intellectual with the right verb. I don't agree with the findings. I question the findings. I challenge the findings. Now your disagreement sounds academic, not emotional.
This is why professors often say your ideas are good, but your verbs make your writing sound basic or advanced.
In academic English, verbs are not just actions. They are signals of logic, depth, and critical thinking.
Now let's look at how smart verbs shape comparison and evaluation and advanced writing and discussion. This is where your English begins to sound truly critical and academic.
Many learners compare things using very basic language like is better than, is worse than, is the same. But advanced speakers and writers use verbs that show judgment, not just difference.
For example, this method is better than the old one. Advanced version, this method outperforms the old one. Now your sentence sounds analytical and data-driven.
Or compare these. The new system is the same as the old system. Advanced, the new system mirrors the old system, or the new system closely resembles the old one.
And instead of saying, this result is very different, You can say, this result differs significantly, or this result diverges sharply from previous findings. Now your comparison sounds scientific.
Evaluation also becomes powerful with smart verbs. Instead of saying, this solution is good, you say, this solution proves effective, or this solution demonstrates strong potential.
Notice how these verbs, outperforms, mirrors, diverges, demonstrates, do more than describe. They evaluate.
And when you build arguments, the same rule applies. I will talk about the main causes. Advanced, I will analyze the main causes, or I will outline the main causes. I will establish the main causes. Each verb signals a different type of reasoning.
Outline shows structure. Analyze shows depth. Establish shows proof and authority.
This is how advanced English organizes thought. The verb tells the reader what kind of intellectual work is happening in each sentence.
And once you begin to control this, your routing and speaking stop sounding like summaries and start sounding like arguments. Now let's look at how smart verbs control cause and effect. This is one of the clearest signs of advanced thinking in English.
Many learners use only because of, so, and make. These work, but they sound simple and repetitive at a C1 level.
For example, this policy caused many problems. Advanced version, this policy triggered many problems. Trigger suggests one problem led to a chain reaction.
Or compare, the delay made the situation worse. Advanced, the delay exacerbated the situation. Now the sentence sounds formal and analytical.
Instead of saying, the new law changed the economy, you can say, the new law reshaped the economy, or the new law transformed the economy. Each verb shows a different level of impact.
Look at another common upgrade. This decision led to losses. Advanced, this decision resulted in financial losses. Or, this decision gave rise to significant losses. Now your cause and effect relationship sounds precise.
Even small effects become more advanced with the right verb. This factor affected productivity. This factor influenced productivity. This factor undermined productivity. Each verb changes the strength of the effect.
Advanced English doesn't just say that one thing happened after another. It shows how strongly one thing pushed the other.
That's why research papers, reports, and presentations depend heavily on cause and effect verbs. They guide the listener's logic step by step.
And once you control these verbs, your English stops sounding like a list of facts and starts sounding like a structured argument.
Now let's turn to how smart verbs shape predictions and future plans. This is the language of strategy, forecasting, and long-term thinking.
Many learners use only will and going to. That's fine for daily talk, but in advanced English, prediction is rarely that simple.
For instance, sales will increase next year. Advanced, sales are projected to increase next year. Now it sounds data-driven and professional.
Or compare these. The economy will change. Advanced, the economy is expected to shift, or the economy is likely to undergo significant change. Each verb signals analysis, not guesswork.
Instead of saying, this decision will cause problems later, you say, this decision is likely to lead to complications later, or this decision may create long-term risks.
Look at this forecasting language. Our team will succeed. Advanced, our team is positioned to succeed. Now success sounds planned, not lucky.
Even uncertainty becomes more refined with the right verb. We don't know what will happen. Advanced, we are still anticipating the outcome, or we are monitoring how the situation unfolds.
These verbs project, anticipate, position, monitor, and unfold are the verbs of analysts, leaders, and decision makers.
This is how advanced speakers talk about the future, not with simple promises, but with controlled, thoughtful prediction. Now let's move into another powerful area: how smart verbs express responsibility and accountability. This is where leaders truly separate themselves from followers.
Many learners use the same weak verbs when talking about duty. Did, was responsible for, handled. These are correct, but they hide the level of ownership.
For example, I did the project. Advanced version: I led the project. I oversaw the project. I coordinated the project. Each verb shows a different level of authority.
Or compare, I was responsible for the budget. Advanced, I managed the budget. I administered the budget. I controlled the budget. Now your role sounds defined and professional.
Look at how accountability changes with verbs. I made a mistake. I admitted the mistake. I acknowledged the mistake. I took responsibility for the mistake. Each step shows growing maturity and leadership.
And in ethical language, verb choice is even more sensitive. They caused the problem. They contributed to the problem. They were implicated in the problem. Each verb carries a different level of blame.
Leaders rarely use emotional verbs in critical situations. They use verbs that distribute responsibility carefully and fairly.
Instead of saying, we failed, a leader might say, we fell short of the target, or we did not meet expectations. The facts remain, but the tone becomes professional and controlled.
This is how smart verbs protect credibility. They allow you to accept responsibility without damaging your authority.
And the higher your position, the more carefully you choose these verbs, because every verb signals how much ownership you accept.
Now let's look at how smart verbs shape teamwork and collaboration. This is where your English shows whether you sound like a team player or just a task doer.
Many learners say things like, I worked with the team, which is fine, but it doesn't show how you worked.
An advanced speaker would say, I collaborated with the team, I coordinated with the team, or I partnered with the team on this project. Each verb shows a different kind of teamwork.
Even help becomes more precise. I helped my colleague. Advanced. I assisted my colleague. I supported my colleague. Or I mentored my colleague. Now your role sounds defined and intentional.
And listen to how leadership influence changes with a single verb. I told the team what to do versus I guided the team. I advised the team. I directed the team. Each one carries a different level of authority and care.
And conflict inside teams also changes with verb choice. We had a disagreement. Advanced. We addressed a disagreement. We resolved a disagreement. We negotiated a solution. Now the focus is on progress, not just the problem.
Even meetings sound different. I joined the meeting. I participated in the meeting. I contributed to the meeting. Each verb reflects a deeper level of involvement.
These verbs quietly influence how others see you as passive, cooperative, supportive, or influential.
In advanced English, teamwork is not just about being present. It's about how your verbs show your level of engagement and impact. Now let's move into one of the most sensitive areas of advanced English: managing conflict without damaging relationships. This is where verb choice becomes a social skill.
Many learners rely on blunt verbs when there is disagreement. Argue, fight, complain, blame. These are honest, but they often escalate tension.
For example, we argued about the budget. Advanced version: we discussed the budget. We debated the budget. We negotiated the budget. Each verb lowers the emotional heat step by step.
Or compare, she held him for the delay. Advanced. She held him accountable for the delay. Now it sounds professional, not personal.
Even anger becomes controlled with the right verb. I complained to the manager. Advanced, I raised a concern with the manager. Same action, very different emotional impact.
In diplomacy, native speakers avoid confrontational verbs. Instead of saying, we rejected their proposal, they often say, we declined their proposal, or we were unable to accept their proposal.
Instead of saying he refused to cooperate, an advanced speaker might say he was reluctant to cooperate, which sounds more balanced and objective.
Even persuasion inside a group becomes subtle with the right verbs. I pushed them to agree versus I encouraged them to agree. I convinced them to agree. I guided them toward agreement. Each verb signals a different level of pressure, from gentle influence to strong persuasion.
This is how professionals protect harmony while still moving decisions forward, not by avoiding conflict, but by choosing verbs that manage it intelligently. Now let's look at how smart verbs quietly shape your reputation and credibility. Most people think reputation comes from big actions, but in English, it's often built through small verb choices.
For example, listen to this difference. I said I would finish the report. I committed to finishing the report. One sounds casual, the other sounds reliable and accountable.
Or compare, I tried to meet the deadline. I made every effort to meet the deadline. Tried can sound weak. Made every effort protects your professional image.
Now notice how credibility changes with reporting verbs. I heard this from a colleague. Advanced. I was informed by a colleague. Or this was confirmed by the finance team. Now the information sounds verified and trustworthy.
Even promises change your image. I will call you tomorrow. I intend to call you tomorrow. I plan to call you tomorrow. I guarantee I will call you tomorrow. Each verb raises the level of certainty and responsibility.
And look at reputation after a mistake. I forgot to send the file. Advanced. I overlooked the file. Or I failed to forward the file on time. One sounds careless, the others sound accountable.
Native speakers protect their image through these subtle upgrades. They don't hide mistakes. They frame them responsibly. This is how smart verbs work as reputation tools. They don't only describe what you do, they shape how people judge your reliability, honesty, and professionalism. Now let's move into how smart verbs express urgency and time pressure. This is crucial in emails, meetings, and crisis communication.
Many learners use only hurry, do fast, or quickly. These show speed, but not professional urgency.
For example, we need to do this fast. Advanced, we need to expedite this process. Now it sounds organized and executive level.
Or compare, please send it quickly. Advanced, please prioritize this request. Now urgency is communicated without sounding emotional.
Instead of saying, the deadline is coming very soon, you say, the deadline is imminent. One word replaces a whole phrase.
And look at this shift. We are late with the report. Advanced, we are behind schedule with the report. Or, we have fallen behind on the report. Now it sounds like project language, not personal failure.
Even pressure becomes cleaner with smarter verbs. They are pressuring us to finish. Advanced, they are urging us to finalize the work. They are pushing for an early delivery.
And when speed is critical, native speakers don't say, we must go now. They say, we must proceed immediately. Or, we must act without delay.
These verbs control how serious the situation sounds. Calm urgency, not panic.
Advanced English doesn't just talk about time, it manages time through precise verbs.
Now let's talk about how smart verbs shape efficiency and performance. This is the language of productivity, results, and professional growth.
Many learners say things like, I worked a lot today, which is vague. It shows effort, but not effectiveness.
An advanced speaker would say, I handled multiple tasks today. I managed the workload efficiently. Or I streamlined the process. Now your sentence shows control, not just effort.
Instead of saying, we did many tasks this week, you can say, we completed several tasks. We prioritized key tasks, or we met our weekly targets.
Even success changes with smart verbs. We got good results becomes we achieved strong results or we delivered strong results. Delivered sounds especially professional in business settings.
And look at performance evaluation. He works well under pressure. Advanced, he performs effectively under pressure. He maintains productivity under pressure.
Even failure becomes clearer and more professional. The system did not work properly. Advanced, the system malfunctioned, or the system underperformed.
Native speakers use these verbs to talk about output, efficiency, and standards, not just activity.
This is how professionals separate busyness from productivity through language.
And once your verbs reflect performance instead of effort, your English begins to sound results-driven, just like the language of high-performing teams.
What you've seen today is this. Smart verbs don't just improve your sentences, they transform how people perceive you in English.
When you choose verbs like secure, implement, conduct, resolve, deliver, prioritize, achieve, you don't sound like someone who is only learning English anymore. You sound like someone who operates in English.
These are not fancy words. These are working words. The verbs real professionals use every day in meetings, emails, reports, and presentations.
And the best part is, you don't need to change your whole vocabulary overnight. Just start with one habit.
Every time you say get, make, do, or give, pause for 1 second and ask yourself, is there a smarter verb here?
That one pause will slowly reshape your English. Your tone will sharpen, your confidence will grow, and people will start responding to you differently.
Advanced English isn't about speaking more. It's about choosing better.
Keep choosing smart verbs, and you'll keep sounding smarter in English.